Today's workout is a 20-minute postpartum upper body strength workout, intermediate level. We'll work all the muscles in your upper body using a set of dumbbells, light to medium. Make sure you've done the beginner workout before moving on to this one. Let's get started. Hey mamas, welcome to today's workout. We are doing a 20-minute postpartum upper body workout, and this is the intermediate version. So make sure you've done that beginner variation before moving to this workout. We're gonna start with our set of dumbbells. I've got 15 pounds today, but feel free to use lighter weights or even a little bit heavier if you are ready for that. We're gonna start on our back with an alternating chest press. So let's come on down. We're gonna grab those dumbbells carefully and come to a supine position, so lying on our backs. We're gonna take those dumbbells, weights up, and we're gonna alternate arms. So beginning with that front arm, bend the elbow, take it to the floor and push it up. Back arm bending about 90 degrees and then pushing up. If you're on a little bench, you might be able to take that elbow to bench level or a little lower. Here, obviously, we can only go as low as the floor. So we wanna keep that wrist nice and strong, forearm stacked above the elbow. And then we're opening the chest, keeping that other arm really pressing into the ceiling and squeezing the armpit toward the midline. So that's bringing that armpit in and up, squeezing as we lift, and that's gonna help us isolate the movement. Now we're gonna do everything twice, just like we did last round. So this is the first round, getting everything warmed up, primed, and ready for the rest of the workout. Now we're gonna stay here, and this time we're gonna take both dumbbells. You can either glue them together and push them toward each other or keep them separated for a tricep extension. So we're gonna bend at the elbows, take them back towards your temples, and then lift. So I'm showing you with the weight separated. This makes it a little bit more challenging here because your arms are working individually. Here, if you put them together, that's gonna feel like one big weight. So you can take them, in this case, to the crown of the head if you're here. There's no wrong way to do it. Just know that putting them together does take a little bit less of the load off the arms because you're using both arms together. Now, if you feel like this weight is too heavy compared to what you just did for chest, your chest can usually do a little bit more weight than the tricep. It's a smaller muscle. So you can always drop the weight here and make sure you're keeping your shoulders over your wrists. You're not taking those shoulders back with you as you bend the elbows. You wanna point those elbows to the ceiling, keeping the wrist nice and strong here. Now we're gonna keep going with the triceps, but we're gonna drop one dumbbell, come to our knees, and we're gonna do a kneeling overhead extension. Now if you've got lighter weights, you can keep them both, but I'm gonna use one heavier weight. So I'm gonna take it back behind my head, base of the neck, and then lift up over my head. So knees are under hips here. Relax your glutes, just gently brace the core so your hips are underneath your abs, and then we're gonna keep those elbows forward as we extend the weight back. Now, if you've got two weights, you'll keep them separated like this, or you can place them together like this, take it behind the head, or here like this. But for me today, I've got a little bit heavier weight than I wanna use for both arms, so I'm gonna drop to one and this works just fine. So there's lots of options here. Again, we've got 2 rounds to master it. And again, if this is bothering you on your knees here, you can always do this in a standing position. I just like the variation of being on the knees, adds a little more challenge to the core. Okay, now everyone's favorite, push-ups. So we're gonna take a standard push-up here. So hands are just a little wider than the shoulders. You can do on the knees or toes. Take your knees wide, your feet wide, and we're gonna drop the chest about elbow level and then lift up. So elbow height. Push the hands into the floor. It helps if you spread your fingertips apart here. Breathe in. Exhale, engage your core on the push-up. On the toes, it looks like this. Now you wanna be really mindful keeping your shoulders over your wrists and your butt down. If you're starting to do this and push away from that perfect plank position, that's gonna take the load off the shoulders, off the core, and it's gonna compromise your shoulders. So make sure you can keep that form strong, and if you can't do it on your knees, you can always bring the knees in closer together or use the wall. Plank on a wall, do a push-up on the wall. But this would be the easiest variation, then coming here and then onto the toes for the most advanced. Now, stand up, grab your weights. We're gonna do a hammer curl, get into the biceps. So feet underneath the hips, we're gonna do both weights, same time, up and down. So hammer curl, bringing it just straight up toward the shoulder, straight down to the legs. Exhale as you lift, inhale as you lower. So you can see we're moving pretty quickly through the interval. It's not cardio. I want you to use a challenging weight, but your heart rate will inadvertently go up because we're moving quickly between each set, between each exercise. And working all those muscles in the upper body as well as the core. So again, relax your glutes here. Try not to squeeze your glutes or push your hips forward. We want to keep that spine neutral. Bending the knees is helpful. And that's gonna help you find stability. A lot of times we're squeezing our glute and pushing our hips forward to find stability or to help us lift the weight. If that's what you find yourself doing, try to relax, and if anything, you can go lighter on the weight. You don't have to go as heavy as possible. You wanna be challenged, but you also want it to be with good technique. Supine row. So we're gonna hinge from the hips, turn the dumbbells up, supine position. We're gonna bring those elbows back, dumbbells to the ribs, and release back down. So it's like a little bicep curl here. So you get biceps back. Squeeze the forearms to the biceps, bring those elbows to the back. The weight should be pretty close to your legs as it pulls in here. You can see from the side, my back is flat. And the more you reach for the floor, the flatter your back is, the more parallel it is to the floor rather. You are gonna feel a little bit more intensity in the back of that body. So if it's too intense, lift yourself up a little bit. But regardless of where you're at here, you should have a flat back. If it's here, flat back, chin tucked. If it's here, same thing, looking about 6 feet in front of you. Couple more here. This one's really challenging on the back and biceps. Okay, this time we're going to the floor. We're gonna practice a renegade row, and we're gonna do this whole interval on the knees. So take your knees wide for stability. We're gonna alternate arms, pull the dumbbell to the hip, place it back down with that wrist under your shoulder. Switch sides, pull to the hip, place it back down. Make sure your knees are both firmly pressing into the mat, and as you pull, brace your core, exhale, inhale, engage that core. What we want to master on the knees is stability. So we're not, as we're pulling, we're not shifting our weight back. We want to keep that weight distributed forward, keep that pressure in the opposite arm, and what we also want to avoid doing is rotating. We want to keep everything square to the mat as we row. So we're really engaging that core, and it's going to feel like one side maybe is a little harder to do that than another. Totally fine, totally normal. And if it bothers your hands to put the dumbbells, you can alternate and place the opposite one on the floor as we row. All right, come up to standing. Quickly, we're going to transition to shoulders, Arnold press. Bring those dumbbells up 90 degrees, palms face you. Push away, extend the arms to the ceiling. Let's do that again. Exhale on the push. So we're rotating, so palms toward you, palms away, and you're slightly going behind you, just slightly, not too much to where you're leaning back here. You wanna make sure you keep that core really tight. This one's challenging, guys. Especially if you got a little heavier weight this round. Try to find that stability, bend the knees, brace the core. Couple more. Whew, it's hard for me to talk through that one. All right, moving on to a reverse fly. So we're gonna hinge from the hips. Again, find a nice flat back position, look out 6 feet in front. We're gonna open those arms to about shoulder height and then bring the weights down to the knees. Let's do that again. So shoulder height to the knees. Elbows should be soft here at the top. And you squeeze shoulder blades together, so right here. I engage that core, especially when you're breathing out. That's when you really engage at the top. That's gonna help you lift that weight. And try to keep the shoulders back and down as best as you can, so you're not shrugging the shoulders to lift, you're not craning the neck. You're keeping that long, straight, neutral spine. Shake from the side here. Good work, guys. All right, alternating shoulder press. I'm gonna regret putting this one in here. We're taking those weights up 90 degrees, right here. Alternating arms. So one at a time, extend to the ceiling,
Bring it back to 90 degrees. Keep that core solid, knees soft, abs engaged. Use your breath here. Again, try not to clench the glutes. Try to keep that opposite arm right here. Don't let it drop here unless you need a little rest. Feel free to take a rest, but try to stay in the work if you can. But of course, technique is most important. So if you need to come here, I'm gonna do it for a second. You know you got 2 rounds. So the next one is the one to really push to the max, right? But a longer break's coming. Let's finish strong. All right, back to the chest press. We got 30 seconds though. So drop your weights. Shake out those arms. Man, don't underestimate this one. Oh, with the right weights. Oh my gosh. It's way harder than I thought it was gonna be. I also regret eating right before this. I was really hungry, so I had lunch, but now I regret that. All right, back onto the back. Weights up. Chest press, one arm at a time. So second round, what do we want to do to make it more effective? If you can't go lower, you go heavier. If you can't go heavier, you really focus on that isolation to the top, squeezing the armpit into the midline, really pushing firmly through both hands as you're moving here, keeping the lower back, just a slight neutral curve in the spine, but not an excessive arch here. Usually chest, you can handle a little bit more weight. So if you find this one's easy, maybe go up next time just for the chest. But the good thing about this one is that heart rate's gonna come down as we're laying here, so I'm thankful for that right now. Rest. All right, we're gonna move on to that tricep extension. So remember, you can put the weights together, you can separate them, whatever works for you. You can go lighter if needed as well. So here, either to the forehead, the crown of the head, or here to the temples. You might have to slow down to maintain good technique with the weight you have, or you might be going faster than me if you've got lighter weights. That's totally fine, but I want you to just match the technique. Strong wrists, elbows bent. Oh. Again, harder than I thought it was gonna be. Some days you're just, you're not really like mentally prepared to work hard. And I feel like that was today for me. It feels good though, it always feels good. You never regret it, right? It might be hard for a short time, but in the long run, you're always glad you did it, right? Okay, drop one dumbbell, carefully roll to the side, come to kneeling position. And again, 2 light dumbbells or 1 heavier option, overhead extension, glutes relaxed. Now, since I dropped 1 weight, I can go a little faster for this one. But again, I'm not cheating that range, right? Dumbbell all the way back, all the way up. And I'm also not looking down or looking up, keeping that spine neutral. And that's so important when you're working upper body. Never want to get a crick in your neck from straining to lift that weight. You want to put the work where you want it, in the muscle, not the joint. And that goes for keeping those elbows in, same thing here. Shoulders back and down as best as you can to help isolate the triceps. Couple more. All right, push-ups. So this time, if you did it on your knees, could you try a couple on your toes? We're gonna do the same exact thing again. So hands wide, knees, toes, or bring the knees in, or use the wall. No pressure to go fast here. I'd rather you work that range than go fast with anything, but especially the push-up. I think we have a tendency to think we need to get down, get up. Really focus on getting your whole body down, not just your chest, not just your hips. Whole body goes down, whole body comes up together. That's the caveat. It comes up and goes down together. If that's not happening, it's not a push-up. I hate to break it to you. It's something else. It's the worm, I guess. All right, almost there. Helps if you don't talk, so try not to talk. Couple more. Ugh, I just had to get one more in. I'm competitive with myself. Okay, camera curl. I gotta be, there's nobody else here to motivate me. Up and down. That's why I gotta do workouts for an audience. That's why I teach group fitness at a gym, and that's why I do this, because it keeps me accountable. I know I can't cheat on things, and I do not do cuts unless I really screw something up or my camera dies. I do not cut these videos, so what you see is what you get, which is why sometimes I ramble. Okay, here we go, hammer curls. So make sure, again, you're not swinging the hips, swinging the weights. We're gonna take the momentum out here. It's not cardio, it's strength. So if you're having to slow down, if you're really struggling right here, good. You wanna feel that struggle, because when you're feeling that, that's your muscle responding to that stimuli, and that is what's getting it stronger. That is what's getting it, quote unquote, toned, defined, all the things you want. Muscle growth or hypertrophy happens when you overload the muscle. So you gotta get to that point. Okay, supine row, hinge, back flat, pull the weights to the ribs, forearms to biceps. And again, you can go a little bit flatter back if you want that added challenge to the back body. But regardless of whether your back is parallel to the floor or a little bit higher up, we want to keep it nice and straight. Core engaged. How are we doing? We're getting close. But I know the hardest exercises are coming. But with that in mind, about 4 minutes left. You know it's time to push, right? To reach that point where you're close to quitting or you do have to quit. That's where that muscle grows. That's where your body changes. All right, renegade rows on the knees. We're still staying on the knees here because next workout, advanced, we're gonna go on the toes. Knees wide, core brace, body weight forward. One arm at a time. If you have your dumbbells too wide, that's also gonna make it hard for you to row, so make sure your hands are about shoulder width apart. And again, shoulders are over your wrists in this position. If you're coming back here, it's gonna make it easier, but less effective. It takes the stimulus away from the muscles we wanna work. And again, if you need to, you can always place that one hand on the floor and then switch. If it's uncomfortable for you to push through the dumbbell, it is a little uncomfortable. For me, I'm not gonna lie, but I just do it anyway. And have really rough hands to prove it. They make weightlifting gloves, but not for me. Okay, Arnold press. All right, this is where, at least for me and most of you, this is gonna be the hardest part, the next 3 minutes. So we got this. Arms up. Overhead, rotate back. Remember, core brace, solid, strong foundation. We got those knees soft, abs tight. That pressure's on the whole time because even when you're here, you're not resting. Like some of the other exercises, you would rest at the bottom. But if you need to, come here, breathe, re-engage when you're ready. Remember, from this side, we don't want to be here. We don't want to be arching that back here. Even at the top, solid and strong. Weights might be slightly behind you, but you're in control. Oh, thought I was gonna get out of that last one. Okay, reverse flies. I'll go ahead and start off showing you from the side profile. So again, finding a flat back, you can be here, you can be a little bit lower, or anywhere in between. I'm gonna start here. Use that breath, it really does help, especially when you're at the end. Those weights are heavy, these exercises are challenging. Squeeze shoulder blades together. Your arms are gonna be bent, elbows are soft, but I want you to take them as wide as you can possibly take them. So when you're here, and then don't just let them fall. Slow and controlled on the way down. That's gonna make it even more beneficial. So close. We're in the last minute, you guys. One more left to do. The hardest one, alternating shoulder press. I don't know if I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's go. One at a time, keep that elbow up. Reach. And again, you can always drop and go to a lighter weight too. Even if you have to quit, don't just quit, get a lighter weight, keep going. And some of these you might find the more you do this one, some you can go heavier on, some you can do lighter. Like this is about the heaviest I'm gonna do. But chest, I could go heavier next time. Maybe on the biceps too, I could go heavier. So think about that too. After you're finished, maybe not right now, but even with an intermediate workout, you can make it harder by going heavier on the weight. And that's what I love about strength training. You always have a new goal, a new marker. All right, I had to talk through that or I wasn't gonna make it. Awesome job, you guys. Intermediate or not, depending on the weight you're using, that can be really, really challenging. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And when I say beginner, intermediate, and advanced, it's not necessarily about how difficult the workout is. It's about the complexity of some of the movements, and we're building each time. So intermediate, we built on the beginner. Advanced, we're gonna build on the intermediate version and make it even more challenging, use some of the same moves, maybe even the same weight, but a little more challenging, complex moves. So I hope you'll come back for that. If you want more guidance on workouts or scheduled, structured workout plan, I've got my YouTube guides on my website, so check those out. They are linked below in the description, as well as everything I'm using here today in my workout. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments and give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it with me, and I'll see you back here for our next workout together.